Sam was a simple young man who lived in a small village near the mountains. He was 23 years old and worked at his father's small shop. Every day was the same for him. He woke up early, helped his father sell vegetables and fruits, and came home tired in the evening. His life was boring, and he often dreamed of adventure. Sam lived with his parents in an old house. His grandfather had built this house many years ago. His grandfather was a famous sailor who had traveled to many places around the world. He had died 10 years ago, but Sam still remembered his stories. The old man would sit with young Sam and tell him about distant lands, dangerous seas, and hidden treasures. Sam loved those stories more than anything. One rainy afternoon, Sam was cleaning the storage room in the back of the house. His mother had asked him to throw away old things that nobody needed anymore. The room was full of dust and spider webs. There were old boxes, broken furniture, and things that nobody had touched for many years. Sam was moving a heavy wooden box when he noticed something strange. Behind the box, there was a small hole in the wall. He had never seen this hole before. He put his hand inside and felt something. It was a rolled piece of paper, tied with an old string. Sam's heart started beating fast. He carefully pulled out the paper and untied the string. When he opened it, he could not believe his eyes. It was a map. But this was not an ordinary map. It was old and yellow, and there were strange symbols drawn on it. At the bottom of the map, there was a note written in his grandfather's handwriting. The note said, "For the one who finds this map, a great adventure waits. Follow the path, and you will find what I could never reach. Be brave and trust your heart. The treasure is real." Sam sat down on an old chair, his hand shaking. His grandfather had hidden a treasure map. All those stories about treasures were not just stories. They were real. Sam looked at the map carefully. It showed mountains, a river, a forest, and finally a place marked with a red cross. The red cross was the treasure. Sam did not know what to do. Should he tell his parents? Should he go and find the treasure? He sat there for a long time, thinking. The rain was still falling outside, making sounds on the roof. Sam made a decision. He would not tell anyone. He would go and find his treasure himself. That night, Sam could not sleep. He kept looking at the map under his blanket, using a small lamp. He studied every line, every symbol, and every word. The map showed that the treasure was hidden in a place called Black Mountain. Sam had heard stories about Black Mountain. It was far away, deep in the forest, and people said it was a dangerous place. Nobody went there because they were afraid. But Sam was not afraid. Well, maybe he was a little afraid, but his excitement was stronger than his fear. He wanted adventure, and now adventure had come to him. The next morning, Sam woke up early. He packed a small bag with some food, water, and clothes. He also took a knife, a rope, and some matches. He put the map in his pocket, close to his heart. He wrote a short letter to his parents, telling them that he was going on a journey and that he would come back soon. He did not tell them about the map or the treasure. Sam left the house before his parents woke up. The sun was just coming up, painting the sky in orange and pink colors. The air was fresh after the rain, and birds were singing in the trees. Sam walked through the village quietly. He did not want anyone to see him. At the edge of the village, Sam stopped and looked back. He saw his house, his father's shop, and the old church in the center. This was his home, the only place he had ever known. For a moment, he felt sad. But then he remembered his grandfather's words, "Be brave and trust your heart." Sam turned around and started walking toward the mountains. According to the map, he needed to cross the river first, then go through the forest, and finally climb Black Mountain. The journey would take many days, maybe even weeks. Sam did not care. He was ready for anything. The road to the river was long and dusty. Sam walked for many hours without stopping. The sun was hot on his back, and his feet started hurting. But he did not complain. He kept thinking about the treasure and what it might be. Gold? Diamonds? Ancient coins? His grandfather had been a sailor, so the treasure could be anything from any part of the world. By afternoon, Sam reached the river. It was wide, and the water was flowing fast. There was no bridge anywhere. Sam looked at the map again. It showed a place where the river was narrow. He had to walk along the river for some time to find that place. Sam walked beside the river, listening to the sound of water. He saw fish jumping out of the water and birds flying low to catch them. The nature around him was beautiful, and Sam felt happy. This was the adventure he had always wanted. As the sun started going down, Sam found the narrow part of the river. There were big rocks in the water, and he could jump from one rock to another to cross. It was dangerous, but it was possible. Sam decided to wait until morning. It was too dark now, and he was too tired. Sam found a safe place under a big tree and made a small fire. He ate some bread and cheese from his bag and drank some water. The stars came out one by one, filling the sky with tiny lights. Sam lay down and looked up at them. He wondered if his grandfather had looked at the same stars during his journeys. Sam thought about what was waiting for him on the other side of the river. The forest was there, dark and mysterious. And somewhere beyond the forest was Black Mountain, where the treasure was hidden. Sam closed his eyes and smiled. Tomorrow, his real adventure would begin. The fire crackled softly beside him, keeping him warm. The night was quiet, except for the sound of the river and some insects. Sam fell asleep with the map held tightly in his hand, dreaming of gold and glory, of his grandfather and his stories, of all the wonderful things that were waiting for him in the days to come. The Hidden Map, Part 2. Sam woke up when the first light of morning touched his face. For a moment, he did not know where he was. Then he remembered everything. The map, the treasure, and his journey. He sat up quickly and checked his pocket. The map was still there. He let out a breath of relief. The fire had died during the night, leaving only gray ashes. Sam ate a small breakfast of dried meat and bread. He drank some water from the river, which was cold and clean. Then he stood up and looked at the rocks in the water. Today, he would cross the river and enter the forest. Sam stepped on the first rock carefully. It was wet and slippery, but he kept his balance. He jumped to the second rock, then the third. The water was rushing around him, white and angry. One wrong step, and he would fall in. Sam did not look down. He kept his eyes on the next rock. Halfway across the river, Sam's foot slipped. His heart jumped into his throat. He waved his arms wildly and somehow managed to stay on the rock. His whole body was shaking. He took a deep breath and continued more carefully. Rock by rock, step by step, he made his way across. When Sam finally reached the other side, he fell to his knees on the soft grass. He was breathing hard and his legs felt weak. But he had done it. He had crossed the river. He looked back at the water and smiled. His grandfather would have been proud. In front of Sam was the forest. The trees were tall and thick, blocking most of the sunlight. It looked dark inside, even though it was still morning. Sam could hear birds singing somewhere deep in the trees. He took out the map and studied it. There was a path marked through the forest, but he could not see any path in front of him. Sam decided to just walk straight ahead and hope for the best. He entered the forest, pushing through bushes and stepping over fallen branches. The air was different here, cool and damp, with a smell of earth and leaves. Strange sounds came from all around him. The calls of birds he did not recognize, the rustling of small animals in the undergrowth. After walking for about an hour, Sam heard something that made him stop. It was a voice. Someone was singing. The voice was old and rough, but the song was beautiful. Sam walked toward the sound, curious and a little nervous. Who else was in this forest? He came to a small clearing and saw an old man sitting on a log. The man had a long white beard and wore simple brown clothes. He was carving a piece of wood with a small knife, and he was the one singing. When he saw Sam, he stopped and smiled. "Well," the old man said, "a young traveler in these woods. That is not something you see every day." Sam did not know what to say. He had not expected to meet anyone here. "Hello," he finally said. "I am Sam. I am just passing through." The old man nodded slowly. "I am Marcus. I have lived in this forest for 40 years. I know every tree, every rock, every stream." "Where are you going, young Sam?" Sam hesitated. Should he tell this stranger about the map? He decided to be careful. "I am going to the mountains," he said. "Black Mountain." Marcus's eyes grew wide. He put down his knife and looked at Sam seriously. "Black Mountain? Why would a young man like you want to go there? That place is cursed. Bad things happen to people who go there." Sam felt a chill run down his spine, but he stood firm. "I have to go there. It is important." Marcus studied Sam's face for a long moment. Then he sighed and shook his head. "You have the same look in your eyes that another man had many years ago. He came through here, searching for something. He was a sailor, I remember. Strong and brave, but also kind. He was looking for Black Mountain, too." Sam's heart started beating faster. "A sailor? What was his name?" "He never told me his name," Marcus said. "But he had a map. An old map with strange symbols. He showed it to me and asked for directions." Sam could not believe what he was hearing. This old man had met his grandfather. He pulled out his own map and showed it to Marcus. "Is this the map?" Marcus took the map and looked at it carefully. His hands started shaking. "Yes," he whispered. "This is the same map. Where did you get it?" "It belonged to my grandfather," Sam said. "He hid it in our house before he died. I found it 2 days ago." Marcus was quiet for a long time. He gave the map back to Sam and looked at him with sad eyes. "Your grandfather. He went to Black Mountain, but he never came back this way. I always wondered what happened to him." Sam felt confused. His grandfather had come home. He had lived for many more years after his journeys. "He did come back," Sam said. "He came home and lived with us until he was old. Then he found another way out," Marcus said. "Or maybe he gave up and turned back. Black Mountain is not easy to climb. Many have tried. Many have failed." Sam put the map back in his pocket. "I will not fail," he said. "I have to find what my grandfather was looking for." Marcus smiled sadly. "You are brave, like him. Very well, I will help you. The path through this forest is tricky. There are dangers you do not know about. Wild animals, deep holes, and places where people get lost forever. But I can show you the safe way." Sam thanked the old man many times. Marcus stood up and started walking, and Sam followed him. They walked through the forest together, Marcus pointing out dangers and telling Sam which plants were safe to eat and which were poisonous. As they walked, Marcus told Sam stories about the forest. He talked about the wolves that hunted at night, the snakes that hid under rocks, and the fog that sometimes came and made people walk in circles until they died. Sam listened carefully, learning everything he could. By evening, they reached the edge of the forest. In front of them was open land, and beyond that, Sam could see the mountains. And there, taller than all the others, was Black Mountain. It was dark and scary looking, with sharp rocks and no trees at the top. Clouds surrounded its peak, hiding it from view. "This is where I stop," Marcus said. "I cannot go further. But you are close now. Cross this open land and you will reach the mountain by tomorrow night. Be careful, young Sam. The mountain has secrets, and not all of them are good." Sam shook Marcus's hand. "Thank you for everything. I will never forget your kindness." Marcus smiled. "When you find what you are looking for, remember this. The real treasure is not always gold or jewels. Sometimes it is something much more valuable. Your grandfather knew this. Maybe you will learn it too." Sam did not understand what Marcus meant, but he nodded anyway. He said goodbye and started walking across the open land. When he looked back, Marcus was still standing at the edge of the forest, watching him. Sam waved, and the old man waved back. That night, Sam camped under the stars again. But this time, he did not feel alone. He felt like his grandfather was with him, guiding him, protecting him. The mountain was close now. Tomorrow, he would begin the climb. Tomorrow, he would find out if the treasure was real. Sam looked at the dark shape of Black Mountain against the night sky. It was waiting for him. And he was ready. The Hidden Map, Part 3. The morning sun was warm on Sam's face as he walked across the open land toward Black Mountain. The grass was green and soft under his feet, and wildflowers of many colors grew everywhere. It was beautiful, but Sam could not enjoy it. His eyes were fixed on the dark mountain ahead. By noon, Sam had reached the bottom of Black Mountain. Up close, it was even more frightening than from far away. The rocks were black and sharp, like giant teeth pointing at the sky. There were no paths, no signs, nothing to show the way up. Sam took out the map and studied it again. The map showed a hidden path on the east side of the mountain. According to his grandfather's drawings, there was a cave entrance there. The cave would lead him through the mountain to a valley on the other side. And in that valley was the treasure. Sam walked around the base of the mountain until he found the east side. He searched for the cave entrance, but he could not find it. There were only rocks and more rocks piled on top of each other. Sam started to feel worried. What if the cave had collapsed? What if it was buried under rocks? He searched for hours, moving rocks and looking behind bushes. His hands got cut and bruised, but he did not stop. Then, just when he was about to give up, he saw it, a small dark opening between two large boulders. It was barely big enough for a person to squeeze through. Sam got on his knees and looked inside. It was completely dark. He could feel cold air coming out, which meant the cave was deep. Sam took out his matches and lit one. The small flame showed a narrow tunnel going into the mountain. This was it. This was the way. Sam squeezed through the opening and entered the cave. The tunnel was low, and he had to crawl on his hands and knees. The ground was wet and covered with mud. His match burned out, and he lit another one. He could only see a few feet ahead, and beyond that was only dark mist. Sam crawled for what felt like forever. His knees hurt, his back hurt, and the matches were running out. He started to feel scared. What if he got stuck? What if the tunnel had no end? But he kept going. He had come too far to turn back now. Finally, the tunnel opened into a larger space. Sam stood up slowly, holding his last match. He was in a big cave room with high ceilings. There were strange rock formations all around him, looking like frozen waterfalls and twisted trees. The light from his match reflected off the wet rocks, creating dancing shadows. Then his match went out, and Sam was in complete darkness. He stood very still, trying not to panic. He had no more matches. He could not see anything. The darkness was thick and heavy, pressing against him from all sides. Sam heard his own breathing, loud and fast. He had to calm down. He had to think. Sam remembered that his grandfather had written something on the back of the map. He had not paid much attention to it before, but now he tried to remember. Something about light. About finding light in the darkness. What did it say? Then Sam remembered. When darkness surrounds you, look up. The mountain will show you the way. Sam looked up. At first, he saw nothing. But then, slowly, his eyes adjusted to the darkness. And he saw it. Tiny spots of light, far above him. They were holes in the ceiling of the cave, letting in sunlight from outside. It was not much light, but it was enough that Sam could now see the outlines of the cave. He could see 3 tunnels leading out of the room, each going in a different direction. The map had shown which tunnel to take, but he could not read the map in this dim light. He had to guess. Sam closed his eyes and tried to remember the map. The correct tunnel was the one going west, toward the setting sun. But which direction was west? Sam thought hard. He had entered the cave from the east, so west would be opposite. He opened his eyes and looked at the tunnels. One of them had slightly more light than the others. That must be the western tunnel. Catching the afternoon sun. Sam walked into that tunnel, moving slowly and carefully. The ground was uneven, with rocks and holes that could trip him. He kept one hand on the wall to guide himself. The tunnel went up and down, left and right, twisting like a snake. After walking for a long time, Sam started to hear something. It was a low rumbling sound, like thunder. At first, he thought it was his imagination, but the sound got louder as he walked. Then he saw light ahead. Real, bright light. Sam walked faster, excited and hopeful. The tunnel opened into another cave room, and Sam stopped, amazed at what he saw. There was a waterfall inside the cave. Water was falling from a hole in the ceiling, crashing into a pool below. Sunlight came through the hole with the water, filling the cave with golden light. It was the most beautiful thing Sam had ever seen. Sam walked to the pool and drank some water. It was cold and sweet, better than any water he had ever tasted. He sat down beside the pool and rested for a while. His whole body was tired and sore. He ate the last of his food, a small piece of bread and an apple that was turning soft out when Sam felt better. He looked around the cave. There was only one way out, a tunnel on the other side of the pool. But to reach it, he would have to swim through the water. Sam did not like this idea. The water was cold, and he did not know how deep it was. But there was no other choice. Sam took off his bag and held it above his head. He stepped into the water. It was cold, so cold that it took his breath away. He gasped and pushed forward. The water came up to his chest, then to his neck. His feet left the ground, and he started swimming with one arm while holding the bag with the other. The pool was not wide, but it felt like miles to Sam. His arms and legs grew heavy, and the cold was making him slow. But finally, he reached the other side. He pulled himself out of the water and lay on the rocks, shaking and exhausted. After some time, Sam got up. His clothes were wet and heavy, but he could not stop now. He was close. He could feel it. He entered the last tunnel and walked for about an hour. The tunnel started going up, steeper and steeper. Sam had to climb, using his hands and feet. Then, suddenly, the tunnel ended. Sam pulled himself up and out, and he found himself standing outside on the other side of the mountain. In front of him was a valley, hidden from the rest of the world by the mountains around it. It was green and peaceful, with flowers and trees and a small stream running through it. And in the center of the valley, Sam saw something that made his heart stop. There was an old wooden building, like a small house or a shelter. It was half broken and covered with vines, but it was definitely made by people. This was the place. This was where the treasure was hidden. Sam started running toward the building, forgetting how tired he was. He was finally here. After all the walking, all the climbing, all the dangers, he was finally at the treasure. He did not know what he would find inside, but he knew it would change his life forever. The sun was setting behind the mountains, painting the sky in red and orange. Sam reached the old building and stood in front of Theodore. His hand was shaking as he reached for the handle. This was the moment he had been waiting for. This was his destiny. Sam took a deep breath and opened the door. The Hidden Map, Part 4. The door opened with a loud creak. Sam stepped inside, his heart beating so hard he could hear it in his ears. The room was dark, with only a little light coming through cracks in the walls. Dust floated in the air, and there was a smell of old wood and forgotten time. Sam looked around. The room was small, with a broken table in one corner and some old boxes against the wall. Spider webs covered everything like thin blankets. It did not look like a place hiding great treasure. Sam felt his excitement turning into doubt. He walked to the boxes and opened the first one. Inside were old clothes, eaten by moths and falling apart. The second box had tools, a hammer, some nails, a saw. Nothing valuable. Sam opened the third box and found books. They were old, and the pages were yellow and fragile. Sam picked one up and opened it. It was a journal. And the handwriting was one Sam knew very well. It was his grandfather's handwriting. Sam sat down on the dusty floor and started reading. The journal was from many years ago, when his grandfather was young. It told the story of his grandfather's adventures as a sailor. He had traveled to distant lands, met strange people, and seen amazing things. But the last part of the journal was different. It was about Black Mountain. Sam read with wide eyes as his grandfather wrote about finding a map in a foreign country. An old man had given it to him, saying it led to a treasure beyond imagination. Sam's grandfather had followed the map, just like Sam was doing now. He had crossed the same river, walked through the same forest, and climbed the same mountain. But what Sam read next surprised him. His grandfather wrote that he had found the treasure. It was here, in this valley. But the treasure was not gold or jewels. It was something much more important. Sam kept reading, desperate to know what the treasure was. His grandfather wrote, "I have found what I was looking for, but I cannot take it with me. It must stay here, protected from the world. Someday, someone from my family will come. They will find this journal and understand. The treasure is not for keeping. It is for sharing." Sam did not understand. What treasure could not be taken? What needed to stay here? He put down the journal and looked around the room again. There had to be something he was missing. Then he noticed a door at the back of the room. It was small and hidden behind one of the boxes. Sam moved the box and opened the door. Behind it was another room, bigger than the first one. And what Sam saw inside made him fall to his knees. The room was full of books. Hundreds of books, maybe thousands, stacked on shelves from floor to ceiling. But these were not ordinary books. They were ancient, with covers made of leather and gold. Some were so old, they looked like they might turn to dust if touched. There were also scrolls, rolled up and tied with ribbons. And maps. Many, many maps. Sam walked through the room slowly, touching the books gently. He could not read most of them. They were written in languages he did not know, strange symbols and letters that looked like art. But he understood what this place was. It was a library. A secret library, hidden from the world for hundreds, maybe thousands of years. Sam found another journal on the small table. This one was also written by his grandfather, but it was from later, when he was older. Sam opened it and read. His grandfather explained everything. He had discovered that this valley was a special place. Long ago, people from a great civilization had lived here. They were smart and wise, knowing things about science and nature that even modern people did not know. But their civilization had been destroyed by war. Before they died, they gathered all their knowledge and hid it in this valley, hoping that someday good people would find it and use it to help the world. Sam's grandfather had found this knowledge. But he knew that if he told people about it, bad things might happen. Greedy people would come and take everything. Governments would fight over it. The knowledge might be used for war instead of peace. So he decided to keep it secret. But he also knew that this knowledge was too important to be lost forever. So he made a plan. He would go home and live his life. He would have a family. And someday, when the time was right, one of his family members would find the map and come here. They would learn about this place and decide what to do with it. Sam sat in silence for a long time after reading this. His grandfather had trusted him with the biggest secret in the world. But what was he supposed to do? He was just a simple young man from a small village. He did not know anything about ancient civilizations or secret knowledge. Sam walked through the library, looking at the books and scrolls. He found one book that had pictures in it. The pictures showed amazing things. Machines that could fly, buildings taller than mountains, lights that needed no fire. These people had known how to do things that modern people could only dream about. In another part of the library, Sam found boxes full of strange objects. There were tools made of metal that did not rust, crystals that glowed with soft light, and instruments that he could not understand. Each object had a small note attached, written in his grandfather's handwriting, explaining what it was and how it worked. Sam picked up one of the glowing crystals. It was warm in his hand, and the light grew brighter when he held it. According to his grandfather's note, this crystal could light a whole house without fire or electricity. It would never run out and never break. Just this one small crystal was worth more than all the gold in the world. Sam put the crystal back and sat down. He had to think. He had to decide what to do. His grandfather had given him a choice: keep this secret or share it with the world. Both choices had good and bad sides. If he kept the secret, the knowledge would stay safe. No one would fight over it. But the world would not benefit from it. People would keep suffering from problems that this knowledge could solve. If he shared the secret, the world might become a better place. Sick people could be healed. Hungry people could be fed. But there was also danger. Bad people might use this knowledge for bad things. Wars might start. The world might become worse instead of better. Sam stayed in the valley for 3 days, reading his grandfather's journals and exploring the library. He learned so much that his head hurt. He learned about medicine that could cure any disease, about ways to grow food without rain, about energy that could power cities without pollution. This knowledge could change everything. On the third night, Sam made his decision. He could not keep this secret forever. The world needed this knowledge. But he had to be careful. He had to share it slowly, bit by bit, making sure it went to good people who would use it for good things. Sam found an empty bag in the library and filled it with some of the smaller books and scrolls. He also took a few of the objects, including the glowing crystal. He would take these back to the outside world and find people he could trust. Scientists, doctors, teachers, people who wanted to help others. He would share the knowledge with them and watch what they did with it. Before leaving, Sam wrote his own entry in his grandfather's journal. He wrote about his journey, about what he had found, and about his decision. He wrote, "I understand now what you meant, grandfather. The real treasure is not gold. It is knowledge. And knowledge is only valuable when it is shared." Sam closed the journal and put it back on the table. He took one last look at the library, this amazing place that had been secret for so long. Then he walked out of the building and into the morning sun. His journey home would be long, but Sam did not mind. He had found the treasure, and now he had a purpose. He would change the world, one small step at a time. His grandfather had started this mission. Now Sam would continue it. The Hidden Map, Part 5. Sam began his journey home with a heavy bag on his back and an even heavier weight on his heart. The things he carried were precious beyond measure, but the responsibility of keeping them safe made him nervous. Every shadow seemed dangerous. Every sound made him look around in fear. The journey back was different from the journey there. When Sam had first traveled to Black Mountain, he was excited and hopeful. Now, he was careful and worried. He knew what he was carrying, and he knew what would happen if the wrong people found out. Sam went back through the cave in the mountain. This time, he had the glowing crystal to light his way. The soft blue light made the cave look magical instead of scary. The rock formations sparkled like diamonds, and the underground waterfall seemed to dance in the light. When Sam came out on the other side of the mountain, he found Marcus waiting for him at the edge of the forest. The old man smiled when he saw Sam, but his eyes went to the bag on Sam's back. "You found it," Marcus said. It was not a question. "Yes," Sam replied. "I found it. But it was not what I expected." Marcus nodded slowly. "It never is. Your grandfather said the same thing when he came back. He looked different then, just like you look different now. Changed. The treasure does that to people." Sam wanted to tell Marcus everything, but he held back. His grandfather had kept this secret for a reason. "Thank you for your help," Sam said instead. "I could not have done it without you." "You would have found a way," Marcus said. "People like you always do. Now go home, young Sam. Your family must be worried." Sam shook Marcus's hand and walked into the forest. He moved faster than before, knowing the path now. In 2 days, he was out of the forest and at the river. He crossed the rocks without falling this time. His body had grown stronger during the journey. When Sam finally saw his village in the distance, he felt tears in his eyes. He had been gone for almost 2 weeks. So much had happened. He was not the same person who had left. He had seen things, learned things, and made decisions that would shape the rest of his life. Sam's parents were standing outside their house when he arrived. His mother cried and hugged him so tight he could not breathe. His father shook his hand and looked at him with proud eyes. They asked many questions, but Sam could not answer all of them. He told them he had gone on a journey to find something his grandfather had left behind. He did not tell them exactly what. That night, Sam sat alone in his room and looked at the things he had brought back. The glowing crystal, some old books, a few scrolls, and some strange tools. These objects contained knowledge that could change the world. But how would he share them? Who could he trust? Sam thought about this for many days. He went back to work at his father's shop, but his mind was elsewhere. He watched the people of his village, the doctor who treated the sick, the teacher who taught children to read, the farmer who grew food for everyone. These were good people, simple people who wanted to help others. Sam decided to start small. He went to the village doctor, a kind old woman named Elena. He showed her one of the medical scrolls he had found. Elena could not read the language, but there were pictures and diagrams. Her eyes grew wide as she studied them. "Where did you find this?" she asked, her voice shaking. "It does not matter where," Sam said. "What matters is what you can do with it. Can you understand it? Can you use it to help people?" Elena studied the scroll for weeks. Slowly, she began to understand. The scroll showed how to make medicine from common plants. Medicine that could cure diseases she had never been able to treat. She tested the recipes carefully, first on plants, then on animals, and finally on people who agreed to try them. The medicines worked. Word spread quickly. People from nearby villages came to see Dr. Elena, hoping for cures to their illnesses. Elena helped them all, using the knowledge from the scroll. She never charged more than people could pay, and she taught other doctors what she had learned. Sam was pleased, but he knew this was just the beginning. He found a scientist in a bigger town and showed him the book about energy. The scientist was shocked. The book explained how to create power from the sun and wind, power that was clean and endless. The scientist worked for months and finally built a machine based on the book's instructions. The machine worked perfectly. Over the next few years, Sam traveled to many places. He found good people and shared bits of knowledge with them. He was always careful, always watching to make sure the knowledge was used for good. Sometimes he made mistakes. Once, he shared information with a man who seemed kind but turned out to be greedy. Sam had to work hard to fix that problem, but mostly things went well. The world began to change, slowly but surely. New medicines healed the sick. New machines made energy without pollution. New farming methods grew food where nothing had grown before. People's lives got better, bit by bit. Sam never told anyone about the library in the hidden valley. That was a secret he kept to himself. He returned to the valley twice more during his life, each time bringing back more knowledge to share. But he never took everything. He left most of the library untouched, saving it for the future. When Sam was 30 years old, he got married. His wife, Anna, was a teacher who loved learning as much as Sam did. He told her everything: the map, the journey, the library, and his mission. Anna cried when she heard the story. Then she smiled and said she wanted to help. Together, Sam and Anna continued the work. They had 3 children, and when the children were old enough, they told them the secret too. The mission became a family tradition, passed down from parents to children just like Sam's grandfather had intended. Sam lived a long and happy life. He never became rich or famous. Most people never knew his name. But he knew that he had made a difference. The world was a better place because of what he had done. That was enough for him. When Sam was an old man, he wrote his own journal, just like his grandfather had done. He wrote about his adventures, his decisions, and his hopes for the future. He wrote, "My grandfather left me a map to a treasure. But the real treasure was not in the valley. The real treasure was the chance to help others, to make the world a little bit better, to leave something good behind. That is the greatest treasure anyone can find." Sam hid his journal in the same place where his grandfather had hidden the map, in the small hole in the wall of the old family house. Someday, one of his grandchildren or great-grandchildren would find it. They would read his story and understand. They would continue the mission. On Sam's last day, he sat outside his house and watched the sunset. The sky was painted in beautiful colors, just like it had been on the day he first left for Black Mountain. Anna sat beside him, holding his hand. Their children and grandchildren were inside, laughing and talking. Sam smiled. He had started as a simple young man who dreamed of adventure. He had found adventure and so much more. He had found purpose, love, and meaning. He had found the real treasure. The sun went down and the stars came out. Sam looked up at them, remembering all the nights he had spent under these same stars during his journey. He thought about his grandfather, who had started it all. He thought about all the people he had helped, all the good that had come from one hidden map. Sam closed his eyes, still smiling. His journey was over, but the story would continue. Others would pick up where he left off. Others would find the map, make the journey, and discover the treasure. The knowledge would keep spreading, making the world better. Generation after generation, that was his grandfather's dream. That was his dream. And that dream would never die.